Is another week and another race here in League of Ireland for Tier 3. Today we are in Great Britain for the British Grand Prix. Mixed up my words there. And last week, of course, we were in Netherlands, and it was definitely a messy race. So if it's anything like that today, we're definitely in for a good one. As always, my name is Josh Nater 6000, and here alongside me is Cav. How are we today?
Good, Josh. Good to see the tongue gremlins haven't left you since last week. And I am absolutely buzzing for this race. We have the return of Gary Droe. We also have the return of Mayo Man to LOI. So two legends of the interview box. And of course, we have a couple of new drivers in reserving as well. So it's going to be really interesting around the track that always provides good racing.
Yeah, definitely will be. And I believe you're down on the paddock with a certain James Mallon from last week, so why don't you take it away with him?
I am indeed. So there was only one man after last week's race in Zandvoort we had to get in, and I'm going to dive straight into it because, James, you had an instant with Rando last week. You looked like you were almost streaking away with the race. Tell us about it. Tell us about Zandvoort, and tell us more importantly about how big a shithead is Rando.
No, it was a nightmare. I was absolutely furious, so I was. I was about to throw the controller out the window, to be honest, but
were you good
just
at
about held myself back. But no, Rando's a good man. I don't care. Even though you know what happened in Zandvoort, we put that behind us. But I wish he was racing here today because he was quick yesterday in the practice race. It'd be nice to see what he'd do today, but.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, you're very welcome. Obviously, you're one of our newer drivers to the league, and I think this is your third race, if I remember correctly. How have you been settling into LOI? You enjoying it?
Okay, well, I was in a league before, and it wasn't great, but this is miles ahead, so much better. But the first race I did beat shite, to be honest. But Zandvoort, I actually felt really good, even though it was one of my worst tracks, I thought, but I actually got pretty decent at it over the week while I was practicing. But then, obviously, what happened. So then on to Britain, it's not really my favourite track, to be honest. But
right.
I think I have some okay pace.
And coming into Tier 3, James, I mean, last week we seen you were right at the front, and to be honest, you looked comfortable at parts during the race, certainly until you got rear-ended. How did you expect it to be coming in? I mean, did you expect to be towards the front of Tier 3 pace-wise, or do you feel like, in the greater competitive environment you've been gaining pace?
Well, when I came in Abu Dhabi, I obviously wanted to be, at the top, but again, it was I literally not touched it since the start of the game, so I was kind of mid, where was I, ninth or something I qualified.
That's right.
And I was a bit disappointed with that, but then in the race I spun on the second lap. I made some decent progress. And then I was at the back of the grid, but then I made some good progress again, and then I think I went back into the back of Twin Gene, I think.
That's right.
And I just ended up retiring because my race was completely over by that point. But at Zandvoort, I thought, when I was coming into it, I thought I could be at the top, I thought some decent pace, but then, Britain, I'm not sure.
Well, look, we'll give you the best of luck, obviously, tonight, and there's a full grid pretty much out there, -1, so you have it all to do again. Hopefully you have better luck under the safety car. Good luck on James.
Cheers.
And now I know Josh has the returning Gary Droe. If he hasn't fallen asleep, he is with us on the grid.
Oh, well, sorry. And the return of the Droe. How are we today?
Flying form, that's flying form. Delighted to be back.
Yeah, you loved it. You loved it too much to not come back.
No, there was a big bag of cheese just standing in front of me. I've gotta have that. So yeah, delighted to be back.
You feeling confident now today in Great Britain?
Not at all.
Look.
No. We'll get to the end of the race. That's the goal for today.
Right.
Finish the race.
Very good. A confident Gary Droe, bro. Then. But how much did you miss? How much did you miss us when you were gone, Gary? You must have missed us so much.
I miss you like a stone in my shoe, lads. I know. I've been tuned in. I've been watching the races.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. Look, you've been in the
so it's just kind of-
comment section.
I was hoping a slot would appear in tier 3. To be honest, I'm not feeling the pace on the new game at all. So yeah, look, I'm hoping to get back into it. Tier 3, I think is the right position for me to hold.
Sure, they're just big sandbags, Gary. We don't believe you. We will see you on the podium. We'll be talking to you in an hour and a half or so. And, but we'll let you get going. Good luck in the race, and thanks for coming into us.
On the ball, lads. Thanks.
And we do have an analyst again this week, and I think we can call him an expert, Cav. We have our tier 1 driver. We have Cruiser. So I need to take it away with him while I'm getting into the lobby.
You're being too nice.
Well, Cruiser, while Josh is getting the lobby going, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, most lads will probably know you from tier 1, but I believe you've even been in LOI before, which I didn't know. So maybe just give us an introduction to yourself.
Yeah, so I suppose I've been in LOIs probably 2 or 3 years ago. I'd say I made my debut. That was in tier 4. I'd say I made the debut there. And I won the first 2 races off the bat, so I was immediately thrown into a tier 1 seat. So, yeah.
You didn't sandbag hard enough.
Yeah, it's skyrocketed my confidence, all right. But you know, the performances were a little overrated. I would put it, I suppose. But sure, you know, I left then after about a year because, you know, Big Slater was just making it boring there out the front, like, you know. So, but I've made my great return now, I suppose. It's great to be thrown back into a tier 1 seat again, and we're dawdling along, I'd say.
And your season's going okay so far, Cruiser? You happy enough with your return so far, or?
To be honest, yes. I started the last race now in Zandvoort with my first steering wheel setup, so that was my first race on the wheel. So that went pretty well pace wise anyway. Results wise, it didn't quite go my way, but sure. Look, it seemed positive anyway from that point onwards, and I'll hopefully try again this week, and we'll see how it goes.
Super stuff. And you've obviously, I assume, been keeping some level of tabs on tier 3. Who have you been impressed with this season, or what drivers do you think might put on a good show tonight?
I think Griffin might put on a good show, to be honest. I commentated on him in tier 4. The first race I commented on tier 4, Dylan was all about him. So, you know, I heard he won the previous race at that stage and all. So, like, his pace was brilliant in that race. I must say, it was actually brilliant. He came from near the back of the field, I think, to win that one. So, like, I think he's got a good shot at it again today. He's got a good few results, decent results in the past few races, and I think he could definitely be challenging at the top again.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you're far wrong. And what about Great Britain itself then, Cruiser? How much do you know about the track, or what do you think the key is around here in terms of, you know, both qualifying and the race itself?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's a bit of a tricky one. I suppose you'd kind of go with a low downforce setup, I suppose, is the main point to take for a track like Silverstone. There's a lot of high speed sections, a lot of high speed corners, and you know, you hopefully learn to carry that momentum into the race. But there's lots of places where you can go off the track and get penalties and warnings. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing to look out for, I'd say, as well, especially through the Maggots and Beckett chicane in Sector 2, and making sure not to cut Turn 1 as well is another important one.
Absolutely. Track limits and penalties probably play a pretty significant part tonight, do you think? We'd obviously hope not. We want to see everyone have a clean race. We want to see good wheel-to-wheel fights, and we want to see everyone make it to the checkered flag as well, without any penalties hanging on the back of them that could interfere with their results. So, like, I would hope that penalties wouldn't play a part in it, but to be honest, I wouldn't be too surprised to see one or two picking up some at the end. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, listen, thanks very much so far. We will obviously be back to you at the end of qualifying, which I'm glad to see we are nearly underway with, and I'm sure you'll have loads of interesting points and analysis for us when we come back.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cruiser. So, qualifying for Great Britain now. Took a little while for the lads to ready up there. A few of them falling asleep, taking a few notes out of Gary Drobo's book there, and myself as well. I'm a culprit to it, but we should see the first couple cars coming out of the garages now. As we always say, if Decky Ferg was here, he'd already be done about 2 laps by now. So just waiting now to see a few of the lads come out of the garages. So it's good to see a couple returning faces, and of course one of them being Gary Drobo. It's great to see lads who've been here for a good long time to come back and show that their talent isn't gone yet. So let's hope that that Gary doesn't make a show of us now.
Yeah, hopefully so. It's always interesting around here. I mean, safety car timing, like always in these tiers, plays a big part, but this is a track where there's no hiding in terms of your pace. You know, it's got all the complexities and all the straights, and setup even is difficult. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting, and there's certainly loads of overtaking opportunities as well. So hopefully we can get out of these pits. I mean, as much as the Silverstone main straight building is beautiful, I don't want to look at that for the next hour and a half. So please God, now I think we have 1 or 2 lads with a couple of connection issues, and we may have a glitched lobby, but we will see. I believe O'Connor, according to the lads, might be the problem. If he can leave and rejoin, if he's listening to the stream, that'd be superb. The lads are saying everyone else is loaded in. And these are the risks and the embarrassments of live sport.
Yeah, of course. I don't know what's going on here. I'd say if another couple of minutes of this, might have to reset it. But O'Connor has left now, so hopefully that's the problem solved.
We hope. Yep. So I'll get him another invite, and quali is underway.
Right. So while we're waiting anyway, Cav, do you have any predictions for pole today?
Do you know, we spoke to him before the race, and that means it's 1 or 2 people, because Cruiser certainly ain't driving, thankfully, for the guys. But I think James Mallon looked really, really good on Zandvoort, and to think that's only his 2nd race, you know, you start to get comfortable, the pressure starts to ease off a little bit, and I think, as much as he's saying he's not comfortable around this track, I think he's a really good shout. The other person I think might have really good pace around here might be Sanko. Sanko's been improving at an incredible rate, and even in Tier 2 last week he was right up there. So I think between Sanko and James we're going to see a really good fight for the podium positions, but who knows. What about yourself, Josh?
Yeah, I definitely think James could be up there. I do think Glenn Mack as well. He definitely showed that he has good pace since last week, so he could be another shout for pole position today. And yeah, we have the first car out now, Williams. And who said that Tier 3 commentators don't have superpowers? Because we've gone back in time. It was 15 minutes on the qualifying timer, now it's 16. So on my screen anyway, I don't know if you had that yourself, Cav, but it'll be on the stream.
Yep, 16:30. We are just about to pass, so
yeah,
just underway.
Now Rory Drain, another man who's been here quite a long time, Tier 3 champion. Not sure what season it was. I'm going to take a guess and say season 4 or 5. And then he came into Tier 2, lasted there for a good while, and now he's back to his home, back into Tier 3. So let's see what kind of a stint he can do here. I believe he's a Tier 4 driver, is he reserving for today?
That's right, yeah, and we've a mix of reserves in. The grid looks slightly different. We obviously have Gary Drow, who's going to be a full-time driver in the Merc. We have the likes of Azza, as you said. We have Bear Grylls stepping up from Tier 5. Aaron Sully as well in the Red Bull, a car he's well used to from Tier 4. So, yeah, it's going to be unusual, and lads are going to obviously have a very different set of battles today than they usually would.
Yeah, indeed. Now I think where are you trying now? Crossing the line to start his lap, Cav, as usual. Why don't you take us? Oh no, maybe not. We'll go with someone else.
Lasted very long. We will get someone who's due to cross the line.
I think Twin Gene has just crossed it. He's in sector 1 now. So why don't you take us on Twin Gene's lap?
Yeah, so dropping down the gears now into 3rd. There's a car out on his left, but that's fine. You're looking to get on the power as quickly as you can. Traction areas are tricky around here because you're running that low downforce, as Cruiser said. So around onto our first DRS straight. Gene will be putting the power down right now as he gets into a very tricky braking zone as well. You want to maximise as much of the track as you can use here. Usually fourth gear. You want to watch those sausage curbs on your left as you come in now through Luffield. You want to again keep the car as tight to the right hand side as possible, and again trying to get down on the power as quickly as you can. You can cut a good bit of time here if you stay heavy to the right, which Gene somewhat does. And now into Copse Corner, obviously very famous. You have to lift here this year, unlike last year's game where you could set yourself up without it. And we're coming into the famous now Maggots and Beggets section. You want to just let the engine do most of the braking through the first part, and you're actually going to compromise the entrance here of the fourth section. As Gene goes quite wide to get a great run onto the hanger straight, and DRS again wide open. We're probably going to see an awful lot of overtakes down here as you come into the last heavy-ish braking zone. Usually 6th gear, you want to let the car come in, careful not to lose the rear, usually 6th or 5th gear depending on setup. Braking now heavily into usually 2nd or 3rd, miss that sausage curb on the left, and very steady on traction through the last couple of corners, up through the gears as quick as you can, and a lap of Silverstone. 1:28.7 sets the pace by Twin Gene.
Yeah, seemed like a little bit of a rocky lap for Gene there. Wasn't the perfect one. But Kajiga going with a 29.5, then Real Johnny with a 28.4, so a little bit of a better lap from Johnny. I think Brewery Drain's going to start a lap now, hopefully it doesn't invalidate. Azza with a 29.1, so not a bad one for Azza, coming up to reserve from Tier 4. Be interesting to see what kind of a lap Bear Grylls can set, as he is coming across the last couple corners now on his lap. So let's see what he can do. And a very impressive 28.6. Putting up in P2 for now, so quite a good lap from Bear.
Yeah, he can step up, and I think that tells us what we already know, which is between the tiers, there's not as much as there used to be. You know, Bear comfortably stepping up there from Tier 5 into Tier 3 and setting the pace with Real Johnny at the moment.
Yeah, and as we're talking there, James Mallon with a 28.7, only 0.02 of a second behind his teammate Twin Gene. So definitely a lot more time, I'd say, in James's lap, as we have now DKF1 coming across the line. 28.7, another 28.7, so 3 28.7s already in P3 down to P5. Yeah, they are indeed.
We'll get that to you now.
Now we have Sanko, someone who's definitely on form at the moment. Provisional pole for him by 0.4 of a second, 28 flat for Sanko. Very impressive lap by him. And Blue Gunner, someone who we haven't talked about all day, a 28.3. So a very good lap from him.
I can't see expanding the invite menu, Josh, but was he on mediums?
He was not on mediums, I can confirm.
What a shame.
On the soft tyre, yeah, it is a bit of a shame, but we'll have to get over it. We'll have to recover somehow.
So 10 drivers so far have set a timed lap. We only have 19 drivers tonight, just to clarify, because Rando is serving a race ban issued to him by the stewards, whoever they are, after the last race. So we won't have a full grid tonight, but 19 is as good as we can get, and we still have 9 drivers to set time.
Yeah, it seems to be quite easy to invalidate your lap, as Cruiser said, especially around turn 1. Of course, on Copse, Maggots and Beckets as well. There's a lot of corners that you can off the hanger straight as well. A lot of corners where you can invalidate, and I definitely think penalties will come into play here. I wouldn't say there'd be a large quantity of safety cars today. Now it could be proven wrong by Tier 3, but I wouldn't say there'd be a lot more than 1 or 2 maybe today. It should be clean for the most part.
Yeah, and unlike the twisty zones as Zandvoort, hopefully with a bit wider track here, there'll be less incidents this week.
Yeah, hopefully so.
So Gaffo was on a lap but has invalidated, so he's gone back into battery charging mode as he comes into sector 3. He's just coming down the hanger straight now. And the Fonz has just started a lap in sector 1, so he's looking to set his first time so far. There's only 2 men on the track at the moment who are on hot laps. Gaffo about this. No, Gaffo's actually aborted and gone into the pits, so
Not happy with that.
He's gonna have to go again.
Yeah, and especially with the pit lane as well. Ooh,
Yeah.
someone gone off.
No, just the Fonz had a snap in sector 2, but coming into Copse Corner now, looking somewhat tidy.
Yeah, I think invalidating your lap and aborting your lap going back into the pits because the pit lane is so long would be a bit more awkward now, rather than Zandvoort last week where the pit lane is quite short. Here it's a very long one, so if you get a drive-through penalty or something like that, you're going to be a lot more worse off than you would have been last week. And I think virtual safety cars coming out, I think people will definitely pit under them, because you lose a hell of a lot of time going into the pits on this track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Fonz now just coming into the end of Sector 3, into the last corner. What will his banker be? 28.6, so slightly quicker than the 28.7s that were being posted earlier, but good enough for 5th at the moment.
Yeah, just as behind his teammate reserving, Bear Grylls. Still very impressive lap by Bear, though, reserving from Tier 5. I think he might have made a mistake there, but I think it might be a bit too late now into the season to be swapping around tiers. But it's good to see some drivers from the lower tiers being able to post good laps like that in higher tiers like Tier 3.
Absolutely. Yeah, great to see Bear stepping up and doing well as he starts another outlap. We've Griffin now in Sector 2 on a lap, along with Rory Drain, so neither of them validated so far. Both looking quite tidy.
So we'll see, I'm sure, a few lap times being posted now. A lot of people on laps, a lot of people on out laps. Only the top two being into the pits.
Has had a spin in Sector 1 on his first hot lap, so that's not ideal for him.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
And we've Glenn Mack in Sector 1 as well, so the remaining drivers to set a time are out there at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely...
With the exception of Jinx and O'Connor.
Of course. And who's that? Who slept out? Is that Griffin? With a 28.3. So there's a decent lap from him. And we have Azza now going into Sector 3. On the higher straight. See what he can set. Yeah, he does indeed. Coming up from Tier 4. Was a Tier 5 driver at the start of the season.
Yes.
Let's see what Azza can do for us now. Coming across the line. And it's a very impressive 28.6. Slaps him into P5 so far. So, very good from Azza. It's a good show.
Another driver out of his tier doing a really good job of reserving. As Rory Drain does a 28.6, so that pops Rory up to P7.
Okay, Flemmo not happy with his lap, so he's going into the pits.
Spin. But Aaron Sully is reserving teammate. He is just coming on to start finish straight now. And he's at a 29.7, so I know Aaron won't be happy with that.
No.
As Kachiga improves to a 28.7 himself.
Good old Kachiga.
Absolutely.
We'd like to see him a little bit higher, and I'm sure he'd like to see himself up a little bit higher as well than P12. Not the best from him, but I'm sure he has a lot more time in his lap. Definitely get himself up into the top 8, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think as we've seen all season, qualifying not Kachiga's strong point, but the race it just always tends to come towards him. Very crafty in his racing, Kachiga. Gaffel now in Sector 2, looking to set his first hot lap, coming around Cops. Lipson stays in 8, but keeps it really tidy.
Just gone across the line now, DKF1 to finish off his second flying lap. And a very good lap, 28.4, just ahead of his teammate, Real Johnny. So teammates seem to be very close to each other, being the two Haas boys, two Aston Martins, and also the two Alfa Romeos as well. So,
Jesus, tell me I don't have this unrealistic, Josh. I sincerely hope not. We have Gaffo just coming up to the line now in the Alpha Tauri, a late replacement from Mailman, and that's a 28.2. So really impressive. Again, stepping up from Tier 4. So
yeah, Tier 4 lads seem to be doing very well tonight for themselves, and Tier 5 as well. Yeah, very impressive by Gaffo there. It's a good lap.
So that just leaves Jinx, Flemmo, and O'Connor to post a competitive lap time for all of O'Connor's connection issues. He is now just about to start a hot lap as he comes across the start-finish line. And the devious turn 1, so easy to invalidate there. He takes it well.
tiny bit wide there.
As the Sullies kill each other in the chat, but that's none of our business. We'll leave them to it. So far from O'Connor, pretty tidy. For his banker, he'll be somewhat happy.
Yeah, not a bad lap at all. Now coming up to Copse. Let's see, I don't think it is impossible to take Copse flat anymore, unless you're running 50-50 wings. I don't think you're going to be taking that flat. You never know, some lads here might have 50-50
Yeah, well.
wings, but don't know about yourself, Cav, but I wouldn't be running them.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Might help get me to the finish line, but sure, look, we'll see. O'Connor now coming down the hanger straight.
Yeah.
Decent enough sector 2 split, so it's going to be somewhat in the shake up here. Really nice.
Yeah,
Very
it's looking-
smooth O'Connor's driving style.
Yeah, looking like a very steady lap so far. Nothing too oversteery. Here we go, O'Connor on the final corner, coming across the line, and a very
28.2.
good 28.2 from O'Connor. So that's
There's
very
a man
impressive.
worth waiting for.
Oh yeah, indeed. And I don't think he'll get another lap out as well, though. So that's going to be it for him,
Probably not.
unless we have a timing glitch, which should have been fixed this game, but you never know.
And O'Connor's a man we haven't managed to find on the grid yet. He's a bit of a Kimi Raikkonen type. He must be avoiding us, so
Yeah.
we might get him in at some point. But definitely he'll be happy with that, I'm sure.
So we have a lot of people on out laps in the pits, waiting for the optimum time to come out of the pits and start their final flying lap.
Jinx now in sector 2. He's looking to post his first time of the session. Coming through Cops himself at the moment. Very nice. Very little lift in fairness to him as well.
He might be running 50-50 wings.
As
see
he
him on the
encounters a
straight.
little bit of traffic, which is going to need to get out of his way, and does.
Very well.
Put on the Alfa Romeo. As the outlap tracker starts to pile, everyone's coming out for their last run. Yellows in sector 3, all looks okay. Just McLaren slowing down, I believe.
And Jinx
So,
now.
Jinx post.
Yeah, in this tricky little final section. Can be very hard to get the power down as he's finding. Where can he put himself? Only P15 for Jinx. So
But when you
28.
say only P15, Josh, look at first to 15. 8/10 of a second. The
Yeah.
entire field is covered by. That is incredible.
Yeah, it is very, very close. Of course, Glenn Mack being all the way down 18th. I think he's on a better lap at the moment. I think we'll stay on board with Glenn Mack. I'd say he'd be up in the top 5. Usually, let's see what he can set now. And onto the hanger straight, onto the DRS.
8/10 up at the moment, so he's improving.
8/10. Could be a decent lap. It mightn't be pole. Stanko has a very good lap time there. I don't think anybody will be taking that off him anytime soon. But here comes Glenn Mack. He could have a lot to gain in the final section. Glenn Mack onto the throttle very nicely. Across the last corner. Onto the... Ooh, it's only a 29.1.
So surprising for Glenn, and as we were
Yeah.
watching that, Sanko has
Sanko,
ordered
yeah.
his gap at the top with a 27.7. There's a
Very
terrible smell of
impressive,
tier 2 off that fella.
There is indeed.
Very impressive. So can anyone challenge him? Everyone is starting their final runs.
Yeah, one of them being Blue Gunner. I'm surprised Blue Gunner hasn't had a nice little helmet design, maybe a nice yellow strip just to show off that he's in love with the medium tyres still. Oh, and he's Maggots and Beckett's and the
Sloppy,
Chapel
yeah.
very, very slow there. I think just once you mess up one of those corners, you're done for the rest of them.
Yeah, it's like the Suzuka S's or in Coda in Sector 1.
Yeah,
You have to nail them all
exactly.
to carry the momentum. But I still think Blue will be happy if he hangs around that top 5-6 positions. I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
He'll take that as a good qualifying because he's one of the lads whose race pace tends to be really competitive.
Yeah, but in saying that, there's a lot of people behind him who can definitely set better laps than what they have. Defons just went into the pits not happy with his lap. Real Johnny, DKF1 both on laps as well. LG Gaffel, of course, O'Connor in the pits. not going to be setting any more laps. Gaffo going to be going into the pits, or he's going to cross the line. He's not going to be improving as he's invalidated, and I think he was 3/10 down anyway. Griffin has invalidated. DKF1 has invalidated. Real Johnny coming into the last sector, last couple corners for him. Gets on the throttle nicely. Coming across the line, what can Real Johnny do? P3 for Johnny, a 28.2 and a 5-place grid penalty for Gaffo. I don't know what happened there. Or did I read that? That was Gaffo.
I read
wasn't it?
DKF1.
DKF1, yeah, DKF1.
I believe for collision with Aaron Sully, that must have been on entry to the pits, which is unfortunate.
It is, yeah. And Rory Drain, here we go. What can Rory set himself up with? Coming across the last corner, very close to the sausage curb, and 1/10 down.
With Twin G in sector 3.
Yeah.
He's improving at the moment by 3/10. That will launch him up if he can continue at that pace.
And he has Kay Flemo behind him as well. I'm not sure if he's on a lap with 3/10 yet. Let's see if he's a lot to gain the last sector. A little bit sloppy coming across the last corner, crossing the line. And P4 for Gene, a 28.2.
Very good from Gene.
Very, very good from Gene there.
Okay, Flemo's aboard with his lap, so that is a qualifying done.
And the gap from P2 all the way down to P15 only being 6/10, so that is very, very impressive. I know
Yeah,
it's a track where you don't really, there's no hard braking zones really on this track. There are a couple, but not as many as other tracks. But still, to have that small of a gap throughout the field is impressive.
Yeah, and with the lap slightly longer around here than your standard track, I mean, to have that congested a field is impressive. So I might run us through the order before we get our analyst's opinion. So in P1, not for the first time this season on pole, we have Sanko in the Williams. We have O'Connor. Took him a while to get into the lobby, but once he did, he made the most of it in P2 on the McLaren. Real Johnny in P3, Twin Gene in P4, LG Gaffo in P5, Griffin in P6. We have Blue Gunner in P7 and the Fonz in P8. DKF1 with a 5-place grid drop to come in P9. We've Kachiga in P10, Azza qualifying P11. Bear stepping up from tier 5 in P12. We've Rory Drain in P13. James Mallon, disappointedly, maybe I cursed him with my prediction, in P14.
Yeah.
We have Jinx in 15th. Kay Flemo in 16th. He'll be disappointed with that, as will Glenn Mackby in 17th. I don't know what Gary Droll will think of himself in 18th, but maybe he does belong in tier 3. And Aaron Sully in P19, backing up the pack. If you missed it earlier, Rando will not be racing tonight with a race ban, so we only have 19 drivers.
Yeah. So an interesting qualifying there, and I think off the back of that we'll get our expert analysis, our analyst I should say, Cruiser. What do you think of that? Were you expecting that at all?
To be honest, it was fairly close to what I was expecting. I mean, Griffin up there in P6, he's that's kind of where I expected him to be, maybe a little bit higher, but right at the end, I think he was just too late out of pits or something, or he got his lap invalidated and he just got pipped 2 positions, but he's still winning a good chance there. And I missed O'Connor's lap, but I tell you what, when I was on board a Gaffo there, the smoothness was extraordinary. He was extremely smooth. I legitimately thought it was the AI. So, it was extremely smooth, but Sanko doing a Max Verstappen job out front, somehow pulling out a 5/10 gap there, I think it was.
Yeah,
so,
it was around that.
yeah, that's some pace from him. I'd say he might be the favourite definitely to run away with this out front.
Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely wouldn't have expected such a gap between Sanko and the rest of the grid, but yeah, thank you anyway, Cruiser. We'll get back to you during the race for sure. And thank you very much. So, onto the formation lap and on to see what kind of tyres the lads are on. So, up until from P1 down to P6 on the medium, and of course I'm going to mention it with a tear falling down my eye. Blue Gunner on the soft tyre. He's doing it on purpose.
Relationship is dead. Yeah, I think he's looking for a shout out on commentary at this stage. It's quite embarrassing, but whatever.
Yeah, and the Fonz then behind him on the hard tyres. He might be struggling a little bit off the start, hoping for a late safety car possibly. But Then from Kachiga all the way down to Gary Drobro on the medium. Then Aaron Sully hoping to make a few positions off the start. Not a bad shout. The start on the softs that low down at P19. Just to gain a few positions off the start isn't a bad thing at all to be doing.
Yeah, and DKF1 has just been disqualified from the formation lap, so not a good start for him. He'll be starting the race with ice cold tyres, which certainly won't help him get a good launch. But yeah, be interesting to see now that the mix in the two soft runners, will they be able to make up a few positions off the start?
Yeah, I definitely think we'll be keeping an eye on Blue Gunner and Aaron Sully, seeing if they can make any positions up. I think Blue Gunner is definitely trying to, either it was a mistake or trying to get a shout out or trying to trying to get up into the top few of the first couple of laps. I definitely think it's worth a try, and that's a spinning Mercedes. Is that Blue Gunner?
It is. There's a lot of disqualifications on this
so a lot
formation
of work
lap, which is quite bizarre.
Tier 3 admins.
Yeah.
Me being one, of course.
Absolutely. Our newest admin in the group. You picked a good week to come in. Enjoy all of those. Yeah, so a mess of a formation lap.
It was.
Hopefully we all get away clean. Certainly not an encouraging start.
Yeah. Now all the cars lining up on their grid spot, and I'm sure we'll see a few drivers going over their starting line, as Sanko lining up in his, and he hasn't gone over his line as it looked like he might have, but a lot of drivers going over it, but they're all lined up now.
Notably on the front row.
And we have the lights. We have 5 lights. The lights are blank, the cars are moving, we are a go in Britain. A fantastic start from Sanko, catching the rest of the lads absolutely napping. And a little bit of contact between Johnny and Twin Gene, trying to get up into that second place. Blue Gunner, of course, making a few positions, and a lot of contact in the back, a lot of people falling back, a lot of positions.
Bear and Azza got into each other in turn 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's James Mallon going up the inside of Blue Gunner. Blue Gunner trying to make those soft tyres work off the start, not working for him so far. And Sanko is off into the distance already, having a great start, a great first lap for him. And looking further back now, Bear Grylls on Aaron Sully, looking for a little bit of a move there, backs out of it, thinks better of it, but we have a Red Bull now, very close to the back of DKF1. DK just a little mistake into the hairpin, but manages to stay ahead.
Yeah, so big position game for Aaron Sully on those softs lap 1. He'll be happy with that. His teammate now ahead of him, so if he has the pace, I'm sure Cape Demo will let him go.
And speaking of big gainers, we have James Mallon and Gary Drobo. James being up 8 positions and Gary being up 9, so a fantastic start from both of those two lads there.
Gary didn't like what I said in qualifying.
No, he didn't at all.
Prove a man wrong.
And Rory Drain getting up into P14 now, ahead of Aaron Sully, and Gaffo going ahead of Azza. So a bit of movement in the back of the grid there.
Yeah, and Aaron Sully dropping positions like no one's business through Sector 2, but has stayed out, so I don't think he's any damage.
Yeah, I think he might just be struggling on those soft tyres, not working out for him. And Azza speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, Glenn Mack as well into the pits, so obviously damage for the two lads, I assume.
And Griffin and James Mallon having a little bit of a battle here. 4P4, James Mallon gets ahead of him, but Griffin isn't going to let it go easily. I'm sure he'll be burning his ERS here. He is. James Mallon trying to break the slipstream, and I think he's managed to stay ahead of him. Yep, straight line speed from James. Too much for Griffin. And now Gary Drobro. Gary showing that he has race. He might not have qualifying pace, but his race pace is definitely shown here tonight. Up into P9 from near the back of the grid. And definitely keeping up with Kachiga and forming a gap between himself and Jinx, so he has no stress from behind, just looking forward from now.
Yeah, and in the last half a lap, Twin Gene has pulled Sanko in by a few tenths, so we might still have a race in our hands. Sanko was tearing away for the first lap and a half.
He was indeed. That's a yellow flag. Who's that? That's Blue Gunner gone off.
Gunner.
Those soft tyres are not working out for him. Might be the mediums putting a little bit of a spike trap on the track for him, but that's him spun round. Unfortunate for him.
Could be temperatures. The softer compound obviously more susceptible to heating up quite quickly, so maybe he's miscalculated how much heat you can put into those, as Gaffo takes Aaron Sully now.
And here we have Griffin getting a great exit off the last corner on James Mallon, and he is going to go by him, but I don't think James is going to let it go very easily through turn 1. That nearly made contact, but Griffin just about manages to stay ahead and James Mallon just backing out. But James Mallon will have the DRS, and I think Griffin will just about get it, but they go side by side and James Mallon spun round, and he's spun Griffin round. A very late move by James Mallon, and Griffin has been taken out by him, so that's not good to see by James, someone who was very impressive last week. But here's Gary Drobro up into 6th place already, now up into 5th, going side by side with Kachiga. Kachiga seeding position down into P6 now. Gary having a fantastic start to the race, and that's James Mallon, I think, gone once again, got spun round.
Yeah.
So yeah, very late move that was from him in the first sector.
Yeah, very impressive so far as the Fons in P4 and those hards, looking really nicely set.
Yeah, indeed. Bear Grylls now pushing Gaffo through Maggots and Beckett's, and I think a bit of a train is forming now behind Jinx. But here's Bear Grylls, a great exit off a Chapel just ahead now of Gaffo. Bear Grylls into P12 now, and a lot of contact up ahead as K Flemo gets overtaken. Jinx trying to have another move at DKF1 here. Very late dive by Jinx there, but DK managing to stay ahead. And is that Sanko gone? Sanko's round. Sanko's down now into P7 off the last corner. Yeah. And Twin Gene has taken the lead. So unfortunate for Sanko there. I wasn't watching, but that is not nice to see for him, and he's nearly gone round again, so the tyres are a little bit hot. But I definitely think we'll be seeing him cutting through the pack once again, so a bit of entertainment for us.
Yeah, and with Glenn Mack really struggling. He's around Sector 1 again. Just not gone Glenn Mack's way this season.
No, doesn't seem to at all. But here's
again,
James Mallon.
Soft tires.
James Mallon and Gaffo. James Mallon ahead of Gaffo now. James does look quick. He'll be cutting through these lads here. DRS train is forming, so not the best for him at the moment, but I'm sure with his pace he'll be able to cut through them.
Yeah, there's a traffic jam forming behind DKF1 and 7 drivers there behind them, all looking to get track position off him.
I think Jinx now be looking to get a good exit, and he does get a fantastic exit onto the back of DKF1 now. Not going to use the ERS, he realises he's not going to get close enough to him. But Griffin now going past Kachiga. Kachiga losing a few positions now. And Griffin right on the back of Gary Drow. And Gary just staying in that DRS range of the Fons on those hard tyres. And Jinx and K Flemo.
Inside of Jinx, yeah. They're battling well, they're leaving each other the space. K Flemo gets out of it, decides it's not worth it today.
And Rory Drain over the sausage curb, and he spun round! And that was a mistake by him, and the Red Bull is also in the wall. That is K Flemo and Rory Drain. And I saw that on the view of Rory Drain trying to go for a move. It was a nice move, but just got over the sausage curb a little bit too much, and by that time there was no time to back out.
Yeah, tough from the angle of approach he took there to keep it all in the right direction, and he found that out the hard way.
Yeah.
And unfortunate for K Flemo. Has had no luck in the last couple of races that he's taken part in.
And through the inside goes James Mallon on Bear Grylls, and that is P10 for James at the moment. And Glenn Mack retiring in the pits. Didn't have a great night of it at all.
No. Chad Bear giving a really good account of himself.
Yeah, he is indeed. He's looking right on the pace today.
I'll say that as he ran 3 metre wide in cops, but still, he's doing very well. And if he's close enough to James here through DRS zone, he might have a run at him, but he doesn't look like he's gotten the greatest exit.
For P4, Griffin going through on Gary Drobro. Gary a bit slow off the exit just after the hanger straight. Kachiga now will be having a look in the back of Gary, waiting for a mistake.
Yeah. If there's anything that sums up Kachiga's drive, and he's sitting on 80% DRS. The patience in a race is really impressive. He's just waiting on Gary or Griffin to have a mistake or two, and he'll be there to capitalise like he is every race.
I don't think he can be too patient though, as Sanko is behind him. He's going to have to defend like crazy if he wants to keep him behind, because Sanko looking very, very quick today with an unfortunate spin. Sanko now on the back of Kachiga. Will he burn his ERS to try and get past him? He will. Kachiga isn't going to burn him, or burn his ERS. And Sanko isn't going to be close enough to go for a move. Kachiga's going to stay in P6 for now. But Sanko looking like he's a much quicker car here. Sanko very, very comfortable on this track, it seems. So a few gaps now beginning to form. Gary Drow just in and out of the DRS range of Griffin. And Griffin just about staying in the DRS range of the Fonz. The Fonz looking very quick on those hard tyres compared to the lads behind him. So he's definitely putting on a good show. Blue Gunner with a 3-second time penalty for him.
Yeah, second one of the day. Him and Gaffon now sharing common ground. The top four, Josh, all in the 32s, and that includes the Fonz and those hards. So he's a couple of tenths slower than the two lads out front, but that crossover is coming quickly.
It is indeed. And Jinx now, around the outside of DKF1, and what a move that was. And DK into the back he goes into Jinx, loses his left end plate, and Jinx nearly goes off the track, just manages to keep it on the track. Bear Grylls now ahead of DK, and James Mallon out of nowhere there, it seems, just on the right hand side of Bear Grylls' view. But yeah, what a move that was from Jinx, but just DK a bit too late on the brakes, and he's going to have to get a wing replacement, I'd assume. And who's that? Gary Drow! Gary Drow's gone round! Just in Sector 1, he's struggling to get the car in a straight line, and that is so unfortunate for Gary, who was driving such a great race so far. Just getting out of the way of the lads there, and back he goes into the race in P14. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah, the courser coming in and talking to us continues.
Yeah, it does.
But we still have a long way to go here, 19 laps.
Oh yeah, everything's to play for still. Bear Grylls once again going wide on Cops.
Yep.
I'd imagine he's getting warnings off the game. But here he goes, very close to the back of James. James seems to be struggling through Maggots and Beckett's. Bear Grylls gets a much better exit than him, gets onto the DRS, onto the ERS as well, very close to the back of him, but gets past him into P8. Very impressive first 7 laps for Bear Grylls.
Twin Gene, while we were watching that, has got himself 3 seconds, so that's going to make a big difference out front. At the moment, Johnny's in the net lead as Sanko gets 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. That's going to hurt him.
Sanko, I wonder why he's gone into the pits. Does he need a wing replacement? There's a lot of people gone into the pits. We have Blue Gunner now, and Sully might be just going in to change their tyres because they may be worn out. But let's see now, Sanko, if he's going in for a wing replacement, and he is.
He is, yeah. So he took damage.
Did, yeah. Yeah, unfortunate for him, but look at the Fonz now onto the back of Griffin.
PK
P4.
gets one as well. So new wings all around.
Yeah.
Sully has one. And Blue Gunner, don't know if he got a new wing, but he did get a set of hards, which means the only compound he has not used yet is the mediums.
Yeah, to say I'm upset would be an understatement, Kev. You know, I'm just it's ruined my night.
There's a TikTok in the making, don't you worry about it.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's real Johnny, just closes in slightly more now on Twin Genes, so showing good pace, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny seems to be reeling them in each lap by a few tenths. Johnny, who we've seen on the podium last week, we may see him again on the podium today, all things going well for him, and he seems to be reeling them in a few tenths each second now. He's gained a few tenths there in the last few corners. But who's that now? Bear Grylls going past Jinx. He seems to be cutting through the pack now, Bear Grylls. Very impressive by him so far. And that's a yellow flag in Sector 2. Who's that? I believe it's DK. Was it DKF1? It might have been, I'm not sure though.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself, as Gaffo gets 5 seconds.
Jinx has gone round last corner, just before the finish line.
Has indeed. Gary Drow takes the place back that he lost earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's that? Gaffo into the pits. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of gaps so far, but James Mallon on the back of Bear Grylls now. Bear trying to hold him off, going defensive. James Mallon isn't close enough for a move yet, though.
Yeah, and both lads have borne their ERS quite heavily, so
Yeah.
both sitting around the mid-20s.
Indeed, James Mallon now. I'm sure he's just biding his time now to get past Bear Grylls.
Yeah. And Johnny continues to eat into Twin Gene's lead out front. Takes another 10th out of him in Sector 1. Took 5/10 out of him last lap, so will that trend continue? They trade 37.9s in Sector 2.
Bear Grylls struggling a lot through Maggots and Beckett's. Doesn't get a great exit onto the hanger straight. James Mallon onto the DRS behind them. Side by side now. Will they continue side by side? No, they won't. Bear Grylls going to back out of that move, and James Mallon moving up into P6.
Good move by James.
Yeah, it was. But Bear Grylls having a little look around the outside now of James Mallon. James just planting the car in the right position. Stays ahead. I don't think this battle is going to be ending anytime soon now. Bear Grylls will get the DRS on James Mallon on the next lap, or on the next straight. Just a DRS straight. So let's see now if there's going to be a move by Bear.
Slow on the power there, Bear. Even with DRS, he won't
Yeah.
be getting in here, you wouldn't think.
And now, as we have a good few gaps between the lads, I think we'll go to our expert. We'll go to Cruiser. Cruiser, are you there?
Yes, I am.
You are. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that start? Were you expecting that at all? Especially Gary Drobro making up a lot of positions and the unfortunate spin, and of course Sanko as well spinning as well. So what do you think of that?
Definitely not. Sanko got away very well. He was looking very comfortable out front, but extremely frustrating to have that spin.
Yeah.
And he obviously picked up wing damage somewhere, and on top of that got a penalty for speedy in the pit lane, so it's all gone backwards for him completely. But I tell you who the real unlucky one is O'Connor, who started from the front row, ended up getting disqualified due to his internet connection. So
my God.
he's the real one that lost everything there, because everyone else obviously still has a chance, but he's the real one that lost the most.
And in terms of a pit stop, Cruiser, when would be your ideal time to go in for the hards coming off of the mediums? Because we do have James Mallon coming into the pits now.
Whenever the engineer tells you. not the Ferrari engineers. Don't trust.
All
their
right.
opinion.
That's unfortunate for James, so...
No, in the game they should be fine.
But,
I don't know, to be honest. I suppose the likes of Gene now on 10 lap old mediums, they could probably squeeze another 5 laps out of them. Like, the rears go very fast on this circuit, as you can obviously see with so many of them spinning.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to keep the rear tyres in check, basically, and keep the car in a straight line.
That's great. Thank you very much, Cruiser. We'll come back to you later on in the race. Now, we do have our first, I'd say, scheduled pit stop, which is James Mallon onto the hards. Trying to get an undercut on a couple of lads maybe ahead of him, possibly.
Yeah,
but
that could trigger a load more pit stops. We'll see.
that could indeed, yeah. But now Sanko very close to the back of Gaffo here. And Johnny got himself a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane, so that is going to kill him at the end of the race.
Yeah, and that neutralises his battle with Twin Gene in a lot of ways. Twin has 3 at the moment, so...
Bear Grylls also speeding in the pit lane.
Oh my goodness, lads. At least these are nothing that the admins have to investigate, but my goodness.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, is it a 60-kilometre pit lane or is it an 80? I'm not sure.
It's 60 here.
It's a 60, yeah, so especially off such a fast track, it's very difficult. But there goes Sanko, past LG Gaffo, up into 11th place. Not quite where Sanko would like to be on lap 12.
No.
But he has got past Gaffo, he's cleared him, and a bit of free air ahead of him. Oh, and he spun round!
Speak of him. Yeah, he's gone.
And that is another spin from Sanko. He is having an absolute nightmare today.
And we've just lost Jinx from the session, so I'll get him an invite back in as quickly as possible.
And that is so unfortunate now. Another spin from Sanko. Someone who's looked so quick today.
Yeah, and it just shows you have to be consistent as well as quick. And Sanko has just made too many mistakes today so far. But we're not even at half distance yet, so long time to go. And still looking really strong towards the front is Stefan's. Looking really, really good. Still in the 32s, lapping with real consistency.
Yeah, he is. And into the pits goes Twin Gene, along with Griffin as well. So let's see now where Johnny is compared to Twin Gene. See if he got any type of an undercut on him. Undercuts not as easy in this game as they were last game, as the tyre temperatures are quite difficult to cope with on the first lap of being on your car, especially hard tyres as well.
Yeah.
But let's see now where Johnny comes out. Let's see if he's going to be any closer to Twin Gene, or if he's going to be further back as Twin Gene.
Yellow's in sector 3.
There is, yeah.
Hopefully someone else around.
Twin Gene coming out now, and he is ahead of Johnny by 2 seconds, but Johnny will be catching up to him though, as his tyres will be very cold. Twin Gene's will.
Yeah,
So
as we
let's
know
see.
now with Johnny's 5 seconds, he needs to pass him and
Yeah.
get him by 2 seconds at the moment. So
He does indeed.
you can see Gene weaving in front of him, trying to put warmth into those hards. So as we've often said this season, new feature.
Yeah.
The tyre temps are much harder to generate, much more realistic.
Yeah, I think it's a great feature. I think it's added a lot more strategy into the game, rather than I'll go on tyres now, they'll be faster. You have to really think about where you're going, for what track you're going for an undercut on, what track you're going for an overcut on. And it has worked out for Twin Gene, but Johnny is right behind him now, going onto a DRS straight, onto the hangar straight. Let's see now, Johnny got quite a decent exit out of Chapel. Let's see if he can get close to Twin Gene. He's not going to use his ERS. Oh, he is going to use his ERS, and then he's going to turn it off just to get that little bit closer to Gene. But the two of them seem to be quite similar on pace today. Maybe Johnny might have a few tenths out on Twin Gene, as Gary Drobo getting himself a 5-second penalty, and that's a yellow flag, and that's a Haas, and it's Bear Grylls. No, it's not Bear Grylls. It's the Fonz, is it?
Yeah,
It's the Fonz spun round.
has indeed. Kachiga now leads this race, slow and steady.
Yeah, Kachiga will have to pit now. His tyres will be quite old at this point. And quite slow.
Bear Grylls sets the fastest lap on a
Grylls.
set of hards.
Very impressive by Bear.
There might be a steward's inquiry into Bear Grylls' pace if he continues at this rate, but we'll wait and see. As an AlphaTauri of LG Gaffo has a look. As Rory Devlin interrogates Rando in the chat. Stewards will keep an eye on that one.
We have now Johnny. Still very close to Twin Gene, keeping within that 5/10 margin. And it's interesting to see now Johnny takes a very tight cops. He turns in very early and seems to be working out for him. Twin Gene losing a little bit of time to Johnny. I might use that for Wednesday.
I was going to say, I've added it to my notebook, as I always do on a Sunday. I sit here taking tips as the Fonz goes into the pits.
Yeah.
So he could only take those hards 13 laps, which I'm surprised with.
Yeah, but 12 laps for the mediums seems to be oh, Johnny nearly loses the car. 12 laps seem to be good for the mediums, so there's 12 laps left, so it seems to be perfect for him. And Gary Drobo just having a bit of a nightmare. He has 8 seconds of penalties. So the Fonz now, where's he going to come out? He's had his pit stop. He has Griffin going past him. He is on quicker tyres than the rest of the lads, so he is going to come out in P5 with James Mallon very close behind him.
Yeah.
So this
James
could be a
will have
battle to look
run
out for here.
And the Fonz with the low temps might be a victim here of an overtake.
Yeah. Oh, through the
DRS
inside.
zone.
And James Mallon, he could have afforded to wait a little bit longer, but he's ahead of the Fonz. And the Fonz is happy to let him go for now because he knows his tyres will be quick once they warm up this lap. And that's someone gone round. Is it Gary Trowbro again? It is.
Isn't
Gary
it?
in the Mercedes.
Oh, that's a sad sight to see.
It is.
Excitement of a man returning.
Yeah.
But we still have time.
Do indeed.
And we haven't had the traditional Tier 3 safety car yet.
No, we
so
haven't.
we'll see.
And Real Johnny's still close to the back of Twin G, just not able to make an overtake happen. He doesn't seem to have very good straight line speed compared to Twin G, even with the DRS assistance as well.
Yeah, Kachiga goes around again, which I'm surprised with. I wonder, is he trying to get himself to a soft stint
Who's
as
that?
Aaron Sully picks up 3 seconds?
I think that's him gone round, or was that it was an Alpha Tauri, I think, gone round. Is that Gappo? I'm not sure, I think I saw a yellow flag anyway. With Jinx going by Aaron Sully for P11. For P11, yeah, not quite points, but never know. Safety car coming out, last few laps. Could make things interesting, see who'd like to go into the softs and who'd opt to stay out on their tyres. I think the Fonz might be one of those, if a safety car comes out late, that he'd maybe stay on those tyres and get a bit of track position.
So the quickest men on track at the moment, Josh, are in the 131s. Kachiga on 15 lap hold mediums is still doing 32s, so he's not losing a huge amount of time at the moment. I wonder, is he going to try get himself to a soft stint and be incredibly quick at the end?
I was about to say that. He'd have to go another 2 or 3 laps to get the softs to last, possibly 4 laps. I don't think that's feasible for him. He could be waiting maybe for a safety car to come out. He might.
Never mind, here he comes.
Oh, he's going into the pits, is
He
he?
needs to get down to 60, and he does.
He does, just about. And yeah, into the pits he goes, and he's going to go on for a set of hards. Stayed out in those mediums for a very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe waiting just maybe for a safety car, the off chance. But Kachiga now will be going in for a fresh set of softs for Kachiga.
Okay, interesting. And he will come out in P4. Does he think he can make those last? We'll see.
I hope he. Oh god, they're not going to last for Kachiga. I will assume we're going to have a puncture from Kachiga, but let's keep an eye on him anyway. He'll be very quick on this lap. We have James Mallon very close to Kachiga. Now, he could go for a dive on Kachiga. Round the outside, Kachiga's going to hold on to it just about. And through the inside once again, where he went on the Fonz. But he doesn't make it happen. Kachiga making the car very wide. Kachiga doing a very good job at defending. He's going to use his ERS. He has it all saved up for moments like this. Kachiga and James Mallon going side by side. Kachiga sees position, but will he go for a little switch back here? No, he doesn't have the traction for it on the cold tyres. Kachiga in P5 now. Not a bad position to be on the soft tyres, but will they last? The big question here.
We've yellows in sector 1.
That was Aaron Sully retiring in the pits.
Yeah. So we still have 16 runners, and the 3 that have retired have been a mix of retiring in the pits and DSQs. So good to see we've lost nobody to incidents.
Yeah. As Gaffo gets himself a 3-second time penalty.
Okay, Flemo does the same. So lads keeping ourselves.
Oh, and Kachiga and James having a little bit of a scrap here. James giving Kachiga the squeeze there. Kachiga wants to make this move happen as soon as possible because he's losing a lot of time to the cars ahead.
Yeah.
Bit of a needless battle here from James, but nonetheless, Kachiga isn't going to give up. So he has the Fonz, who is quite quick in those mediums behind him, so he'll want to overtake James Mallon just before his tyres start to die out, and then he'll be defending for his life.
Yeah, and in fairness to James, he is playing the team game here. If he's worried about Kachiga catching Jean, he's doing the right thing for Ferrari, so maybe the Ferrari strategists have their hats on for once.
They're on plan Z at this point.
As Kachiga has a look down the outside, it's got to give him a greater exit than James here. But still being frustrated. And
oh no, Real Johnny! With another penalty.
Wow.
So that's 8 seconds of penalties for Johnny. So that is going to That is going to ruin him. Still has a good gap between himself and a podium, but with Kachiga on those softs, let's see if he'll be able to keep that podium.
Yeah, so we have 7 drivers penalty-less at the moment, which is great to see.
Yeah, it is. We have Kachiga now, sees the flashing red light of the car ahead. James and Kachiga going side by side. James brakes later than Kachiga, surprisingly, on the hard tyres. They're still side by side, going into a very tricky section. And Kachiga manages to place the car in the right position, gets up into P4. But I don't think James Mallon will be giving up that easily. He's going to stay behind Kachiga for this DRS zone. He's going to try and make the move on Kachiga once again. But Kachiga has a lot of ground to make up now. He is nearly 9 seconds behind Griffin for a podium.
Yeah, and I just wonder, I'm so interested to see how this plays out for Kachiga. Rare to make a mistake on a one-stopper to have your tyres not selected.
Yeah, it is.
Does he know something we don't?
Maybe he does, you never know.
Or does he whisper to those softs in a way we don't? Who knows? The Fonz now will be looking to clear James next on the faster medium tyre. He'll be expecting to make up ground on most of the lads ahead of him. And again, the Fonz with no penalties as of now, so in really good shape.
He is indeed, as James Mallon still keeping close to the back of Kachiga. Yeah. Within 0.5 of a second, and the Fonz will want to be getting a move on now to get past James Mallon here, as James, I think he may have gotten a corner cutting warning there. Just about now holding on to that DRS. He's not going to use any of his ERS, as he has a lot to play around with here. As the Fonz now sees that flashing red light on the back of James's car, so he knows he'll have a lot more straight line speed, so he can start using his ERS that he has saved up now.
Yeah, and as Leo says in the chat, race is heating up and we are into the final phase. And with us into these last 6-7 racing laps, no better time if Cruiser's there to see what he thinks is going to happen in the closing stages. Cruiser, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I can't fall asleep during this race.
So, what do you think so far? I mean, there's a mix of strategies, there's a mix of penalties. Who do you think's going to come out on top first and foremost?
Yeah, I think Gene's got real good pace. I don't know how many penalties he's got though. I just checked that now.
It's 3 seconds at the moment.
Yeah,
compared
he's
to
got
Johnny's
3.
8.
Yeah, Johnny's got 8. So I think Gene will come out on top of that if he can keep it in a straight line at least. Griffin behind, not picking up any penalties. He's putting in some decent pace. He's doing the job, doing what he needs to do. Kachiga has gone for a very aggressive strategy, obviously putting on those soft tyres.
Yeah.
It is a big question mark whether they'll make it to the end, but if he does, then it will be a really well job done, because not picking up any penalties either is more than half the grid has, obviously, at this stage as well.
Yeah. And anyone down the grid that you see, Cruiser, who you think might still make up a few positions yet? Anyone well placed that might be, say, further down the points or even outside of the points at the moment?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think Blue Gunners seems to have a bit of pace in him. He might get Gaffo. Gaffo is 11 seconds of penalties now, I'm just seeing, so Blue Gunner should finish ahead of Gaffo if he keeps it in a straight line. The simple job is Gene as well out front, but obviously it's way easier said than done, because the more and more these tyres wear, as I said earlier, it's way harder to keep his car in a straight line, keep the rears happy.
Great stuff. And Cruiser, just to remind you, we always have a driver today, and me and Josh don't care what the fans think, we care what you think, so we'll be coming to you for that driver today before we finish up.
Yes, absolutely.
So, the Fonz now not really making those medium tyres work.
No.
Not at all, actually. He's staying behind James Mallon on the hards. Now James Mallon does have that penalty and a Stewart's inquiry, I'm sure, for an incident or two. But keeping with Kachiga and keeping ahead of the Fonz as well. So great pace from James Mallon on those hards so far. As I say that now, Kachiga out of the 1 second range, and he just about has the DRS, does James. on
Yeah, he's
Kachiga.
hanging on by his fingernails.
Yes, yeah. And I think now, if a safety car was to come out and if someone was to magically crash, I think now would be a great time. As we speak, though, LG, Gaffo and Blue Gunner getting very friendly there. Side by side they go. Blue Gunner braking a little bit later than Gaffo, getting ahead of him towards the last corner here. And Gaffo getting on that sausage curb nearly very close there. As we've seen one or two drivers going over that sausage curb and managing to spin the car around. It's going to be very easily done.
Yeah, and interesting the times last way around. Griffin now, the quickest man on track, and he's reeling in the top two.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting now to see, just since Johnny and Twin Gene might be losing a little bit of time being close together.
As Gaffo goes down the inside of Blue Gunner, Josh,
yeah.
He has that move done. Blue will see his position there, and he'll have a go at him maybe outside of Cops. We will see.
Yeah, very well done by Gaffo there, getting that position back. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see now Griffin. Can Griffin get the win here? We have 3.5 seconds is the gap between himself and Twin Gene. Of course, Twin Gene having a penalty, 3 seconds.
Yeah, as Blue Gunner and Gaffo almost go side by side through Maggots and Beckett's, which is ill-advised. But they both survive. And Blue
Gunner
has an incredible run now on Gaffo. He's going to take the inside line, and surely this move is done. Oh, and Yellow's in sector 2 and 3.
I don't think anybody's retired. Blue Gunner going off the track a little bit and ceding position there to Gaffo. And this battle is going on for quite a while now, and Azza getting the fastest lap on those fresh-ish softs, being quite far behind the rest of the lads.
And Bear has closed up onto the back of the Fonz as well, so
Yes, indeed, yeah.
right, the Fonz hasn't been able to produce the lap time you would have expected from those medium tyres.
No, he hasn't at all. No, I'd say the Fonz might be just hanging behind them because there mightn't be much of a point to overtake James. There might be that risk, since I believe it was one of the Haas cars that got tagged by James. I don't know which one it was, but it might be a little bit iffy and going side by side with him possibly. But I think now with Kachiga, he might be just waiting for the last few laps for James and Kachiga to battle it out, and then he might be able to pick up then the scraps of the two lads battle.
Yeah, Kachiga seems to have used the best of those softs at this stage. The pace has gone
Oh,
out
who's
and
that going round? That's Twin Gene! He's into the grass!
Oh no.
And he has lost the lead and possibly lost the podium if Kachiga can catch up to him. So could this be another Kachiga podium? Quite possibly so. Kachiga penalty list, and Twin Gene, of course, with that 3 second time penalty. Very hard to get that word out.
I thought you were going to say Kachiga Power. I was like, oh my goodness. We have a Kachiga fan in the box. For sure, aren't we all Kachiga fans? And Sector 3 yellows again. That looks like a Merc. Is that Gary Drow again?
Gary
It
Drow.
is. Oh, my heart.
Yep. My soul.
Such a shame. As Rory Drain. Yep, he backs out of that one.
So, as it looks now, Griffin on to win this race. And Real Johnny will most likely get P3. All things going as they are now.
If Griffin wins this race, I think it'll be the first time an analyst has gotten excited about a driver and they've actually done incredibly well. So
Now don't. It's still 2 laps left, Cav, right?
the curse could be broken.
It
My
could
goodness.
be. Now, if he does so happen to have a little bit of an accident, we know who to blame.
Absolutely.
But Bear Grylls now getting himself another penalty.
Yeah, and I have to say, Bear, I know he's carrying 8 seconds of penalties there, which will change his finishing position slightly, but so impressive to be P7 on merit and P7 on pace. He's doing really, really well.
Yeah, fantastic pace from Bear Grylls, and very close to the back of his teammate as well. I wonder if his teammate will just let him through. Since the Fawn still has a position to gain on James Mallon from penalties, the Fawn seems to be dropping back a little bit. I wonder if he has maybe damage or his tyres are just worn out a little bit.
Possibly, and one thing do remember from this game is you have to now, if it's light damage, set yourself to replace the wings. So there could be a couple of lads cut out by that. I think we've seen Glenn Mack pit twice early on because of that.
And we have James Mallon now very close to the back of Kachiga. Those tyres on Kachiga's car aren't working out for him towards the last couple laps of this race. Kachiga managing to hold on to P4 so far, and Kachiga holding on to 20% ERS, while James Mallon only has half of that. So James seems to be close to Kachiga everywhere except where he needs to be. Kachiga gets very good exits out of the corners where it counts. And very close to the back of him now through Copse. Hopefully nothing silly here. Both of them very even through Copse. James Mallon close still to the back of him, pushing him through Maggots and Beckett's.
A lot better on the traction, James, here.
Yeah.
And he's very close. He's surely will get this done. But he's derating, and that could cause him a problem. Yeah,
Kachiga has great straight line speed here. Kachiga's also derating, and Kachiga is going to survive another day, another lap. Bear Grylls also gets past the Fawns here, and Fawns will also lose a position to James as well.
That's a bizarre one. I don't know if Gunter has ordered that one, but Bear definitely seems to have more pace than the Fawns at the moment.
Here comes James Mallon now, only for position on track.
As Bear tries to break the toe to his teammate, which I find funny. And Sector 3 yellows, we have a Merc around again. Is that blue this time?
I think it is. Yeah, it is. Oh no, he was driving a very good race, and I do believe Cruiser did mention his name. But yeah,
the Fawns coming back at Bear here. There are no team orders at Haas. He gets a really good move done. He'll have him on penalties anyways, but that's excellent from the Fawns.
Yeah.
Kachiga still chasing down James Mallon. He has him on penalties anyways, but he now probably won't get close enough to have Twin Gene as well. Nearly 5 seconds behind.
Yeah, I think Twin Gene. Twin Gene is far up the road from those lads there, and I thought that was I thought that was Griffin getting a penalty there, just as I'm looking at his name. But here we go through the last sector. Real Johnny did drive a great race today, but he does have penalties. He'll win it on track. But Griffin is going to cross the line and win the British Grand Prix. And an unserved penalty from Johnny there. Oh yeah, that's his 5 seconds.
That's his 5, yeah.
And Johnny comes home for P2 today after 8 seconds of penalties. And Kachiga gets that P4, Twin Gene with P3. James Mallon in P5, the Fawns P6, and Bear Grylls' teammate P7 after a little battle, of course. And Blue Gunner
doing donuts for the lads in the gravel.
Yeah, why not?
The Silverstone track personnel appreciate that, but however.
Blue Gunner will get a point today, without the mediums as well, without the help of those tyres. And K Flemo, another donut doer. Oh my god.
And that's not ideal.
And Gary Drow just slowing down just to make sure he doesn't just to make sure he's not caught up in anything. You know, Gary Drobro, very careful driver. Definitely not to do a burnout on the just before the line.
Certainly careful on fuel. I see 3 extra laps in that car as he crosses the start finish line. So yeah,
that's our race. I think before we go to Cruiser and the lads on the podium, Kev, why don't you bring us down the finishing order?
Yeah, so winning his first race of the season in Tier 3, we have Griffin in the Alfa Romeo, Real Gianni, second podium back-to-back in P2. We have Twin Gene and Ferrari in P3. Kachiga drove a very clever race, P4. James Mallon in P5. The Fawns in P6. Bear Grylls stepping up from Tier 5 to do a great job in P7 for the Haas team. Sanko will definitely be disappointed after taking pole to finish P8. Gaffo in P9, and Blue Gunner rounding out the points in P10. Jinx P11, DKF1 P12. 13th for Rory Drame, 14th for K Flemo, Gary Drow on his return to LOI action in P15, Azza in P16, and we lost Aaron Sully, Glenn Mack, and O'Connor unfortunately never made it away off the start line.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice O'Connor during the race, but with a great starting position as well. It's just so unfortunate to have internet be
The reason you don't
factor.
start, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely. I wasn't expecting Sanko to be down in 8th place, of course, with his 2 spins, but that's racing. And I think if the 3 lads want to join as quick as they can, of course, being Twin Gene, Johnny, and Griffin.
Yeah. And if you can get out of the lobby, lads, in the nicest way possible, if you need the dashboard, so be it. But get out of here.
I think as we're waiting, we'll go back to Cruiser. What did you think of that, Cruiser?
Well, I tell you what, the driver that I was very excited about, as you said yourself,
Here we
came out
go.
on top. So I believe your words are I defeated the curse.
Yeah.
So,
So there's a round of applause for me anyway. Well done.
well, look, next time you're going to have to mention every driver's name, because if everyone has issues, then it's going to even out. So, like, you know.
But in terms of a driver today, Cruiser, who's your pick?
To be honest, I'm actually going to pick Kachiga. You know, he had a nice clean race. He didn't get any penalties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas most of the grid did. He did a mighty stint there on the mediums. When I said he could squeeze out those extra 5 laps, I honestly had no idea what I was talking about. But he managed to do it. I had a bit of a Ferrari strategy moment, but you know, he somehow played it out nicely, and you know, he just missed out on the podium, unfortunately, but did a mighty stint in the tyres and got no penalties, so he has to be my driver today, to be honest. Defon's still very close with no penalties either.
Yeah. Kachiga definitely had a great race. Although he's not on the podium with us today, P4, great position for him, especially starting P9, just played his cards right, kept it clean, and finished out P4. But yeah, I think that's definitely a good shout for driver of the day, Cruiser. But I think just Johnny joined.
Yep, just waiting on Griffin and Jean. I think they're on their way. There's Griffin, our race winner, so just waiting on Jean.
Yeah, we'll give him another minute or so, or if it doesn't join by then, I think you start us off then with Johnny in the next couple of minutes. There he is there now. Right, we'll go kick us off then. Jean, maybe a little bit disappointed after that race, but I think we'll first of all just have a look at qualifying. How did you think qualifying went for yourself? Do you think you might have been able to squeeze another few tenths out of your lap, or were you happy out overall?
Honestly, going into today, I haven't had much practice, so I was just like, I'll just see how it goes, you know. And then I started quali and it was going alright. I put a meh first lap in and then messed up in second lap. And then on the third lap, it was only really like I kind of had a bit of I almost spun or whatever in sector 1. And once I realised that and realised how close I was to the 2 lads in front, I was like, fuck. But either way, it didn't really matter in the end because I managed to get past O'Connor and Johnny.
Yeah, and then of course, moving on to the race, you did qualify P4, it was a good starting position, but you seem to have great pace. Of course, the penalty must have been a mood killer there at the start, the first half of the race. But of course, we're going to mention your mistake, your spin that you have. So what happened there? I believe it was just in sector 3, wasn't it? Of the long right-hander. What happened there?
Just keeping an eye on the delta too much. I saw Griffin was behind me and he was around like 3.5 around there, and I was just keeping an eye on the delta too much, focusing on that too much and focusing on the driving, and just put a bit too much throttle on and just went around for a spin. Just wanted to show you my ballerina tricks, that's all.
Fair enough then. But yeah, I think P3, are you happy out overall with that? Even after the spin, I think you couldn't be happier with a podium. Honestly, after a mistake.
After the few races I've had as well, I haven't been on the podium since race 2, I think. and I haven't had a race win since last year, so I'm like, come on, like, I need to get one this season before I'm happy again.
Yeah, that's very good. Now on to next week. Now I'm not going to lie to you and say I know what's
We're
next
going
week.
to Saudi Arabia, Josh.
We're going to Saudi
I
Arabia.
have the tickets booked for you. Don't worry, you're all fine.
Grand. Make sure you have my bag packed as well. So how do you feel for Saudi Arabia? Is that a track where you're comfortable on, or is it something you need a little bit more work on?
Maybe I need to do a bit more practice for that, but it's an alright track. Like, if you make a mistake, you're just in the wall and you're gone. Safety car. I was surprised that there was no safety cars this race.
Yeah, I think we all were.
You and I both, yeah.
I was like, when it came to the last lap, I was like, surely there's gonna be one now. Like, but other than that, yeah, it's just kind of doing the same as I did today, just making sure I don't get into any rubbish and getting through it, you know.
Yeah, well done today. Anyway,
Thank you, buddy.
on your podium, and Kev, if you want to take Real Johnny second place.
So Johnny, I'm making a bit of a habit of this.
Yeah, throwing away wins and penalties. I love it.
I meant more so coming into Tonkers on the podium, but yeah, we'll come to your penalties in a second. Let's start at the beginning as we always like to. Quali was P3, unless I'm mistaken. How was your quali lap for you? Were you happy with it, or did you feel like you had more time?
I'd say probably had maybe half tenth, and Sanko's lap was just untouchable. Like I couldn't get anywhere near. Yeah, I was happy enough with that to get P3. After that, I was happy out.
And then onto the race, obviously we'd a whole host of small incidents, nothing major, but obviously we lost O'Connor early on, and then you had to go battle yourself with obviously Griffin and Gino front, and then Sanko obviously spinning. How did the race work out for you?
Yeah, it was sound, to be honest. I was sort of in my own race for most of it. Up until I pitted, I was sort of on my own for the whole time. I don't know, I think it was Griffin and the Ferrari spun behind me, and I was 5 seconds behind me then.
That's right.
But after I pitted, I was just sort of waiting behind Twin Gino. I knew I wasn't going to get him because I had the 2 penalties. But
yeah,
I'm just going to sit behind him and just play it safe and not get caught behind. So, Grace went grand, sure.
And tell us about the penalties. You obviously got 5 for speeding in the pits, if I remember correct, and then you did 3, I think, for track limits. Either of them avoidable, just silly mistakes, or what was it?
The track limits were my own fault. I sort of was just pushing to try to keep within Twin Gene's DRS, and that just killed me. But I don't know what happened with the pit lane. I broke way earlier than it said, and I just somehow sped. I don't really know how that happened. But
Josh was pointing out the pit limit around here is 60. I don't know if the game's braking lines, if you're using the line, are correct for that. So
I was going to use the line, and then last week happened. I said I better break it before I still sped.
And still, wow.
So yeah.
Okay, and obviously next week we go to Saudi Arabia. How do you feel you're fixed around there? As Gene already said, it's a track that is very unforgiving.
Yeah, I remember last game it wasn't the nicest track to
no, carnage.
But I don't know what the story is this game, to be honest.
Right, she'll put the grind in as usual and she'll see how you go.
Yeah, I done 5 laps this week, and so I might do 6 next week.
Excellent. You're building it up. Good stuff. Great to hear. Well done today, obviously, and unlucky, and obviously losing the win. I'm sure you're disappointed.
Cheers, Captain.
All right.
And then do you know at the Oscars when someone runs onto the stage and causes havoc and then just leaves? Security has escorted Kachiga out of the party here, thankfully. He is driver today.
When you need him.
And I'll let you take our winner, Josh.
Yeah, Griffin. How are we after that?
I am fantastic after that.
Buzzing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you're qualifying, going on to that first of all. P6, was there any more time you could have gotten out of that, or are you happy with that overall?
Oh yeah, my last lap, I think I was nearly 3 or 4 tenths up.
Okay.
And just around the last corner, I had to lift a bit coming, but I was happy with P6 anyway. But I'd say I could have been P2 or P3, but not to worry.
Yeah. But anyway, qualifying doesn't matter if you win the race. So were you were you surprised then to see obviously Twin Gene spun round then? Was it just head down once he spun and just focus on staying in that the range of Johnny, or were you smooth sailing? What was...
Yeah, to be fair, I had a brilliant engineer, Ryan Curran, kind of keeping me.
Okay.
He was telling me, "Oh, you're gaining here. What you're not doing." And I was gaining a bit in the kind of the third sector, and then when I seen Twins spin off, so I think he had 3 seconds, and I was like, I think at the time I might have been 3.5 seconds behind him.
Yeah.
So I was kind of delighted then because I knew Johnny obviously had 8 seconds at that stage, so I knew I kind of could relax then. But yeah, no, it was looking tight there for a while. I didn't know I was actually going to get inside that 3 seconds.
Yeah, but look, you got the win anyway. Whether it was because of penalties or not, doesn't matter. 25 points on the board, and going on to next week now, Saudi Arabia. How are you fixed around there?
Yeah, well, Saudi Arabia I actually love Saudi Arabia. It's one of my favorite tracks, so I'm really looking forward to it now. To be honest, all about kind of just keeping it clean there if you can, really.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the key there.
And that's your first win, Griffin, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
It would be my first win. Yeah, I've had 2 taken off me, so it's nice to finally get one. It's nice to finally get one.
Well,
that
myself
I don't
and
think I've been involved in any incidents. So
I was gonna say, myself and Josh been on the tier 3 admin team. We'll have a good look and we'll see if there's any way we can wrangle this one off of you. But no, you look to have this one pretty clean. So well done, and hopefully now with that monkey off your back, the floodgates will open.
Cheers, thank you.
Well done to Griffin, and that's everyone. Of course, driver of the day, Kachika, didn't knock on his way in. With his team song, of course. He was. Don't worry, the security guards handled him very nicely, and I'm sure we'll talk to him next week, hopefully then. But anyway, that's been us, myself and Cav this week, and a very big thank you to Cruiser for coming on with us. You've been great, and yeah, so do tune in again tomorrow. Tier 4 will be on tomorrow at 9 o'clock on the same track, and myself and Cav will be back for Saudi Arabia same time next week. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and talk to you very soon. Goodbye.